Hey, I'm Kurt Wagner from Bloomberg's technology team, and I'm here with Nicola Mendelsohn from Facebook. Nicola, hi, how are you? I was wondering if I need to call you Lady Mendelsohn. I'm told that you have a lady designation in the UK. What is that all about? Explain to someone from San Francisco what being a lady is.
Well, Kurt, thank you for that very kind introduction. And yes, my official name is actually Lady Mendelssohn, and that is because I'm married to a Lord of England. My husband,
Wow.
Lord Mendelssohn. But you can definitely call me Nicola, okay?
Nicola, fair. For this interview, we'll stick with Nicola, and we can expand the next time. But thank you so much for being here for real. We appreciate it. I know it's a busy time, and I wanted to start actually with your role at Meta because you recently got a promotion, and you are, I believe, the VP of Global Business. Correct me if I'm wrong, but explain a little bit about what the role is for you, and then you took over for someone who was there for a really long time. I'm curious how the role is evolving. Are you going to do something a little bit different than Carolyn Everson, who was, the woman who had this job before you did?
Yeah, so all that is true. I'm absolutely delighted and thrilled to be the new VP of the Global Business Group. I've actually been at the company 8.5 years, and prior to this role, I was the VP of Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, which meant that actually I've been the voice of Meta across the whole of region, not just on the business side, but in many ways a bit of a jack of all trades. This role's a little bit different because what this means now is that I get to work with the biggest advertisers or biggest partners around the world. And I couldn't be more excited about it because I get to the chance to talk with our clients, to talk to them about how we can help their businesses to grow by being able to connect them with the customers that matter the most to them. And I've always done that to a certain extent in EMEA, but now I get to do it, as I say, globally. And it also means that I'm going to be moving to New York. And I've literally just come back from spending my first month in New York, getting everything ready, but also really embracing what it means to have a New York American Thanksgiving, getting ready for the holidays. So that's been a lot of fun as well.
And let's talk about the holidays briefly, because a year ago we had a really unique, totally new type of holiday quarter. This year, I'm wondering what it feels like to you. Is this kind of 2020, but we're maybe a little bit more prepared, or does 2021 have its own kind of twists and turns to it for you?
Yeah, I think we're in the twist and turns again because I think we're in a holiday season unlike no other. And I think what I'm hearing from the conversations that I'm having with our advertisers in particular is actually the holiday season started earlier this year. And I think there's a number of different reasons for that. I think that we saw that consumers started to shop earlier because of what they heard about the global supply chain. So nobody wanted to make sure that they were going to get caught out from not having the right gifts during the holiday season. We've definitely seen that continuation of more and more brands, more and more businesses going online, because guess what? That's exactly where the consumers are. And so we saw the Black Friday phenomena continuing, not just in the US, but now all over the world. And again, I remember, when I started out in Meta in 2013, we didn't have Black Friday in EMEA. It didn't exist. It was very much a US thing. That's not true anymore. This is something now that exists all over the world. And we're seeing more and more that one day is expanding to the 5 days, or the Cyber 5, as it's now called around the world. But again, another thing that we're seeing different is actually, I think Cyber 5 is really Cyber 6 now, because we're seeing more and more businesses and more charities actually going out on Giving Tuesday. And we're seeing extraordinary amounts of money being raised. So we saw that just in that 2 weeks running up to Giving Tuesday, that more than 1.5 million people were able to raise over $120 million for over 100,000 different nonprofit organizations because of this significance of Giving Tuesday. So that's been great to see. And that goes on top of, we were, as a company, we committed to giving $8 million to US nonprofits during that period as well. So there's a lot of change going on in that holiday period, starting earlier, Cyber 5, Black Friday, going global, and also now I think really it should be called the Cyber 6.
And you talked briefly about the supply chain and obviously the extension of the holiday shopping. I would think, the obvious to me seems that that's a benefit for Meta, an advertising business, right? If there are 5 or 6 versions of Black Friday instead of one, like, great. That just means there's more advertisers trying to reach people on your platforms. At the same time, obviously, the supply chain, everything we heard in kind of the months leading up to this was that the supply chain might actually have some advertisers pull back from spending. They didn't want to, promote a product that maybe they couldn't fulfill or that they weren't able to produce. What have you seen? Kind of describe how the supply chain fits in here. Yes, it's extended the holiday. I'm wondering if you've also seen some pullback from people.
Yeah, what we're definitely seeing is that the supply chain disruptions have impacted different industries in many different ways. But from the conversations that we're having with our advertising partners, it's still the busiest shopping period that they've had. And what you guys have reported yourselves, that US online spending was up in November, up, I think, over 13% from last year. So we are still seeing that digital transformation. It's still a very exciting time. And I know that they're still looking to see how the rest of December is going to be shaping up.
So let's talk about Meta and a rebrand and what that means for your job. Obviously, most people know the company you work for as Facebook. That recently changed, is now known as Meta. I'm wondering, how does that change, if at all, your conversations with advertisers? Is there any confusion that you had to clear up with folks, or because the Facebook service and the Instagram service, et cetera, still exist as they were a few months ago, is the name change not really a factor in what you're talking about with people?
Well, I think it is a factor, because what I think it signals is where we see the, if you like, the next period going for us as a company. And so what we've been very clear about is that about every 10 or 15 years, we see there's a major shift and change in computer technology. We saw that when, we went from desktop to mobile, and we think the shift to the metaverse, albeit 10 years out, is going to be the next one. So actually, the conversations I'm having with advertisers, they want to learn more, they're leaning in, and they're very intrigued. And they are all of those things, because this is naturally what's going to happen with consumers. And businesses want to be where consumers are. And so I think, the rebranding of the company is very much a strong signal to the fact that we're taking the metaverse seriously, we're excited about it, but we're also very clear that we're not going to be the only company that's investing in and that will create the metaverse. Like the early days of the internet, was formed by so many different organizations, companies, businesses, charities, civil rights, so many different developers. And the same will be true of the metaverse as well. So we've announced and declared early that this is what we think, so that others can come with us on this journey, can start to develop and start to create the sort of metaverse that we all want to enjoy and that we all want to be a part of.
I think it took certainly many quarters, probably many years, for advertisers to transition to, for example, stories, right? I remember being on earnings calls and hearing your boss, Sheryl Sandberg, say, hey, advertisers are still going to use kind of this full screen video ad format, right? And I'm wondering, all right, if it takes us years to transition from a horizontal video ad to a vertical full screen video ad on a phone, how many years is it going to take people to transition to the metaverse, right? It just feels like such a dramatic leap. And I'm just wondering, not necessarily to put a timeline on it, but I do wonder, where you feel that you're at in talking to people about advertising in the metaverse, and how far out roughly do you think we are in terms of like transitioning people to ads that show up kind of in this new format that we're talking about?
Yeah, so I always start and ground myself with people, because that's what we always do. And I think the primary way that people in the near term are actually going to experience the metaverse is going to primarily be through 2D ads, 2D apps. And so many of the strategies that work in 2D are going to be applicable in the future in 3D as well. And so the business opportunities will always follow the consumer behaviors. And so that's why I think it's actually really important for businesses to continue to focus on the opportunities that they have today by innovating and experimenting with things in our AR and our VR tools, and to grow their audiences and continue to do that on Facebook or Instagram, WhatsApp, or Messenger, because the work that they're doing today is going to be really, really important in terms of how they're going to reach their customers in the future as well. But we're also seeing a number of different businesses, a number of different brands that are already starting to see what those sorts of opportunities are out there like today. So I think of brands like Sephora and Charlotte Tilbury, where they have actually created filters where you can actually try on the makeup, the eyeshadows and the lipstick. So if you like, you can try it before you buy it, albeit virtually. And they're seeing very strong success there. Or Rebrand, where you can actually try on glasses in their Instagram store, where you can try the different versions on, and you never have to leave your house. So we're seeing it in beauty, we're seeing it in apparel, but we're also seeing it in hospitality and in learning and development as well. So we've seen that Hilton, when we were going through different periods of lockdown, we're actually using Oculus to actually be able to train their employees about the different levels of service, when take them around the different properties that you own, that they owned, in order that they could create that rich experience, so that when the properties opened up again, the standards that they wanted to exact could be there. So there's already things that people can start to do, that businesses can start to do. And we have so many examples that we're already seeing happen.
How much hand-holding do you have to do with advertisers at this stage in terms of, either giving them ideas like, hey, you can, promote your sunglasses through this filter and walk them through it? Obviously a huge reason that Facebook and Instagram ads are as popular as they are is that it's self-serve, right? And obviously it took a long time to get there. But for the most part, a small business can just sign up and do everything on their own, right? And eventually you're going to have to get there with VR and the metaverse. But I'm wondering where you're at now. How much are you actually, teaching, walking an individual advertiser through that process?
Yeah, so there is an element of that. And there's always the intention that we're always looking to see how we can do that at scale. And so one of the things that Mark announced at Connect was a Spark AR tool that just this week we launched Spark AR Go. What is this? This is basically the ability to create those sort of augmented reality effects without needing to be able to know how to code, and also to personalize them and to make them much more unique and much more personalized to whatever the business or offering that you want to have, and then be able to put it out on Instagram. We think this is really important because we're seeing more and more that augmented reality is really something that consumers love in terms of helping them to express themselves. And I think it's really going to be something that's as ubiquitous as a 2D photograph is today. So using Spark AR to go, and again, this is brand new, you'll be able to track your face, you'll be able to change the world around you, you'll have different face effects, you can have custom backgrounds, filters, and other things as well. But this is just the beginning. In the early stage of any new technologies, there's some more hand-holding, but these are some of the things that are available out now and that people can go and try.
I believe Facebook's business right now is made up more than 97% of revenue is from advertising. I'm wondering if you feel like that is what the metaverse business opportunity is for you as well. Is it primarily an advertising heavy focused experience? Do you think some of that revenue shifts to shopping or commerce? Obviously, they kind of go hand in hand in a lot of ways, but I'm just wondering if you think that advertising is the business for the metaverse in the same way it has been the business for a news feed.
So when I think about that, I actually think about the fact that there's over 200 million businesses today that are using the Facebook pages for free. So many of the tools that we put out are there for free, and we have a number of those are actually choose to advertise with us. And I think the same will be true in the metaverse as well. So there'll be so many different experiences that people will be able to explore and enjoy themselves without having to pay for anything. And then there will be different experiences where people might want to, and you mentioned shopping, direct people to the fact that there's a live shopping experience happening, maybe with a creator as well. And so I think there's this wonderful opportunity in the metaverse to be able to create a creator economy where different people can come and jobs that we haven't even imagined yet can be created, where people can earn a living from creative expression of themselves. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the fact that different entertainment events will have the opportunity for people to go to, whereas in the past they might be limited by the size of the stadium. And so I think advertising will be a part of it. But I think also about the fact that there'll be an opportunity for businesses to think about, and this is something that we're certainly thinking about as well, that people will be able to move around the different worlds in the metaverse, and they might want to move around with their own set of clothing that they might want to wear one day and then maybe change it on a different day as well. Again, that's an opportunity for a creator or for a business that they will be able to sell those products from a commerce perspective. So it's really early days. And I think, we're going to see so many different things, both from individuals, but also from businesses as well.
So I was hoping we could maybe go through what our ads going to look like in the metaverse. I'm picturing product placement, right, in a movie. If I'm looking around a room that I'm in, maybe someone's paying to put the artwork that's on the wall, or maybe a furniture store is paying to furnish whatever room that I'm in, right? And it feels organic, but it's a paid opportunity. Is that kind of what you think this will ultimately be like? Is that maybe we'll be living in experiences that have kind of been created by advertisers, or do you think that it's going to be, more of a banner, or banners ads obviously are kind of have a negative connotation, but I think you know what I mean, more of like a visual ad in the way that we might see a news feed today?
I think we could see so many different types of experiences, but in the start, what we're really focusing on, and you take me then into the world of sort of Blade Runners and different sort of sci-fi kind of movies, which I have to say I do love. But first and foremost, I think it's about building the metaverse for people as a place and worlds that people can come and enjoy together and do the things that they can't do in real life. At the same time, not trying to, replicate in any way how it is when people come together. That's not what we're trying to suggest here. Just that when they come together online, it's enhanced, and it's enhanced because you have this feeling of social presence together, which I think is something that is very, very exciting. And I think we'll see, we'll continue to see evolutions of this, because if you'd have said at the beginning of the internet, will the ads just look like how they do on how they do in the world before the internet, it's hard for us to imagine all the different ways that they'll come together. But I think all the things that you suggest and more, I think will be possible in the metaverse. But first and foremost, it's about making sure that that we build it in a responsible way. And we've spoken a lot about that. I think that's important and that matters. But then when we do that we're able to offer the ways, whether it's for creators or for businesses, to find the customers again that matter to them.
I'm going to attempt to squeeze in two more quick questions. We only have about 2 minutes left, but I'm wondering, typically Facebook's or Meta's, businesses, hey, let's build a product for as many people as possible, and then we'll worry about making money, after everyone already is using it, right? I'm wondering if you're taking the same approach with the metaverse. Is this kind of hey, let's, build this up, try and get 1 billion people using the metaverse before we introduce actual advertising or business? Or do you think you're going to try and go more of a hand in hand with this type of thing?
So I think what we're seeing is that there's already a number of new formats that we have that you start to think about how they'll apply in the metaverse, and I think they get very excited. So, well, I do, which is around things like live shopping. So we already have, if you put live shopping next to AR tools and virtual reality tools, then you start to get some really cool shopping experiences. And one of my favorites that I've seen recently, I don't know if you know a company called Petco. And Petco had their first live shopping stream, and it was a doggy fashion show. Bear with me. They leveraged influencers. They were raising money also for a good cause while selling, the products as well. They had pop-ups on screen. You could get there in different ways. And what we saw also here is that, yes, they were using advertising because, of course, if you're going to have an event, you want to make sure that your customers know that this is happening and that you can get them there. They were utilizing and seeing, that there's different ways of coming together, and people could literally just click and buy then. Let's start to imagine a world where, that's one with dogs, but, with people, if you think about a fashion show, then actually today you actually have to go to the shop, you have to see it. Imagine a world where that creator, that fashion company can actually put them out and you can go. Could be an event where you could actually try on those different things, albeit virtually. Those are the sorts of things that I think are incredibly exciting. And yes, it's a few years off, but we've got some earlier versions of those, as I explained with the Petco example, that are doable today.
Well, I was going to try and sneak in one more, but I think ending on doggy fashion show is probably as good of a kicker to this conversation as we're going to get. So Nicola Mendelsohn, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really nice to hear from you.